Petra.
Hi, Yanis. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Very optimistic. I don't know why. And how are you?
Yeah, maybe I'm a bit more of a realist. No, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, feeling
It's tough.
strong.
It's tough to say good or optimistic these days,
Yeah,
isn't it? I know that it's a lot of bricks thrown at you and every hospitality colleague. So this is all about your story. It's about getting a little bit of a positive spin on what we've been doing through our life histories in hospitality, if you like. So let's start with telling us about your hospitality background and how it all started and how you got
way
here.
back when. It's a long story. How long have you
Not
got?
have to say years.
Well, I guess it started when I was 15, and I got a part-time job, as you do, and I worked at the Wimpy, which I loved and cherished and adored. I thought it was a fantastic job for while we were doing GCSEs. And I'd say really I stuck with a lot of part-time roles in hospitality, as people do, and I had a real passion for hotels. And I remember being on a school trip during our GCSEs. We went to look at a hotel, and the general manager came down and said, okay, out of the 35 students who's interested in working in hotels? And nobody put their hands up. And I thought, God, I really want to put my hand up. This is a job that I really want to do. And so I did. And they were sort of, oh, great, that's brilliant. And they put me in touch with the HCIMA, which is now, of course, the Institute of Hospitality. And I wrote to them and I said, I want to study hotel management. And they sent me all, through the post, pack of information. And I said to my parents, this is it. This is the sector I want to be in. I didn't end up doing that. I think other things happened, and I did.
Oh, we lost you. We lost you a bit there. Can you repeat?
Maybe come back to. Oh,
we lost you. The connection went.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can hear me now. So, it's just saying I'm unstable. That's probably true. Let's just have a look. I should be okay. It's because I'm a meter further away from the intake. Can you hear me now? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Great. Okay. So I didn't go into hotel management. I looked at the courses, ended up going into business and finance with marketing, found my passion, which was marketing, and I thought, okay, I really want to be in hotel management and around the hotel industry, but I also love marketing. So I put the two together. And really, my career started properly at P&O. I worked for Princess Cruises in marketing, in PR, loyalty management, which was fantastic. Studied all my Chartered Institute marketing qualifications, went and did a master's degree in strategic marketing, set up a little consultancy, just me, helping small businesses and restaurants. And then I went to work for the Institute of Hospitality as marketing director. Again, just always on that periphery of the hospitality industry, but still following my passion of marketing. And I decided one day I need to go and help businesses. I had a real love of working with GMs and owners and wanting to be at that sort of decision-making end of talking about business strategy, using my business and finance background and marketing. And so built Custard. So I see myself as a hospitality professional. I still wish I'd been a GM. Maybe I will one day, who knows? But I love the fact that I've been able to blend my two dreams together and to form a business that I love and am so passionate about. And everyone always says that word to me. They say, you're always so passionate. And I genuinely am. It's an absolute love. And that's why I do what I do. So yeah, I'm in hospitality, but I'm a marketing.
And we met through the IOH back in the day, didn't we?
We did.
And I remember there was something about the name of your company that you've got a little thing when you come up with it. You want to tell us about it?
So I was trying to come up with a name for the business, and we sponsored a lot. We were heavily involved with what the industry was doing, and you always end up with your logo somewhere. And I always said, it's quite important to have something that I would just, on a very puerile kind of level of, you could give a gift and it needs to be something interesting. So I need a name that can create this nice hook. But I also love alliteration, and so I knew it was going to be about communication. So I was like, it has to begin with C. So I set myself a huge challenge. Has to begin with C. Also, top of the alphabet is always quite handy, and it has to suggest something very positive, also quite masculine. And this is an interesting one because people always say to me, it's not a masculine word. Why do you want it to be masculine? There was a lot of, I suppose, stereotypes around PR agencies, and the business we were looking at was a mix of female and males that we were working with. But I did really like the strength of a masculine word, not to say feminine words aren't strong, but a hard sounding word. So Custard came to me as I was driving in the car. I just thought, Custard, that's an interesting word. So went to my husband, who approves everything because he has no choice. And I said to him, what do you think about Custard? He said, I love it. I love the nostalgia, the warm feeling, and I can tell you without exception, every person I speak to and I say Custard, go, oh God, school dinners. And it's really, and everyone remembers that. They're like, yeah, and it's fattening and it's like indulgent and it's all lovely stuff. And it is comforting and it's trusting, and it is a very hard word. It's strength, and it just works really, really well. And so for the first few years, it enabled us to send out custard creams and rhubarb and custard sweets and all that funny promotional fluffy stuff that we don't do anymore. But it gave us personality, and
that already there. Lots of advice for any of our students who want to start their own business once they graduate. Yeah. So you spent a lot of time with clients and hospitality clients. So you might have a memorable moment from when you were working in anything related to hospitality or with a client. You don't have to name them. What's the thing that stuck after all these years in working with professionals? A memorable.
Memorable moments. There are so many. I have to say, I think my most memorable moment was when I trained to be a chef. I had a year where I said, no, marketing's not for me. I've got to get back to this hospitality business. This is what I want to do. And I decided, I'm going to be somebody who runs a restaurant. They're going to run a hotel and all these things. So I went and trained to be a chef, which is why I ended up moving to Woking. It was Top Marie, which was then owned by Beryl Childs. And I went there for a year and did the intensive diploma. And there was a day where I remember we were sat outside and as a team, and I just remember thinking, I am the luckiest person alive, because this is a dream job, to sit with people and talk about food and work hard and study and love what you do and have an outcome. Like there is something you create at the end of it. And I can really, really remember sitting on that lawn, and it was sunny and it was all very nice and all in our whites, which we shouldn't have been outdoors, but anyway. And we were sat outside and we were just chatting, and we were just all passionate about, food and service and everything. And I just thought, I'm so lucky. I am really lucky, and what an amazing thing to be able to do. And it taught me so much, because then when I remember about that training, I use that in everything I do now. Because I remember the teamwork, the deadline, the coordination, the having to be creative and agile when it's not quite going right, the following of a recipe but having to adapt it to make it work, and the appreciation of quality and tools and all of those things. And I use that to this day, and it's just that, to me, is it was a game changer for my career.
It's the beauty of our industry, isn't it? That, the people that we work with and the people that are our guests, but mainly the people we work with really they can make or break, but also in my experience, they mostly made my day. So, and a lot of my thinking, I think, in the later days. Let's go a little bit about your own practices and what makes you productive. So if you think of think of a day that you were super productive, what are the key elements that make your day productive?
Speaking to people. It is that I know where my energy comes from, and my energy comes from those around me. So I surround myself with passionate people, energetic people, positive people. And speaking to clients is the most productive way, because every time you talk to somebody, an idea manifests itself. And that's what, to me, productivity is. It isn't about volume. It's about being efficient, but it's also about creating something and achieving something. So I think particularly I think through this current crisis, the conversations were daily with lots of clients and suppliers and partners and industry. And from every conversation, I was able to think, okay, maybe we could go this route, or maybe this is another answer. So I never underestimate the power of a meeting or a conversation. Every conversation you have, you learn something. You either learn something about yourself, or you learn something that's going on. And I think that's for me what makes me productive. If I have a day where there's no meetings, and it's sometimes you look at the diary and you say, oh, good, day with no meetings, I'll get loads done. No, you get nothing done, because you just pontificate, you sit there, you stare at the screen, and you miss that dialogue and that energy and that communication. So I'm productive when I'm super busy and a volume of stuff going on in the diary.
I find the same with checklists, you know, for maybe they work for some people, but I find sometimes I get depressed because I want to do things. And then when I see, it's nice when you've ticked those things, but it does stops your flexibility, stops the opportunities to talk with people. And now in the current environment, I think we need it more than it used to happen almost accidentally when we were in the offices and we were going around.
That's true.
Now you have to force it, don't you? You have to even plan it.
Yes, you do, and there are lots of concerns around that. There's sort of the lack of water cooler moments and the open dialogue and the, oh, by the way. And I think as a business, I think we've done very well. We've put all of the technology in, and we have got this ongoing communication. But I was in the office last week, because we're actually back. And when I was in the office, I was talking to a couple of my team, our head of marketing and business ops manager. And we just talked about something and said, oh, hey, actually, we could put that on the website, and then we could do this, and this will really help. And I don't think I could have done that in any other structured environment. I think the fact it was that open dialogue. So I am really now seeing that importance of just being around each other, having, chit chat, and actually is definitely generating ideas. But in the meantime, we're mixing it up with Zoom and Teams and all the other many channels.
Tell us what is like, public relations in certain areas have a certain stigma, but I'm hoping that in hospitality, I'm not just hoping, I know that hospitality is quite different and it's quite positive. So tell us what it's like doing PR in hospitality.
It's interesting, actually, because I'm being asked a lot about what is PR rather than what's it like at the moment. And I think that it's interesting because it's really evolved and it's accelerated that evolvement over the past 6 months. So PR very much is a communication strategy. It's basically explaining to somebody why they should come and stay at your hotel, but using third parties and building reputation and building brand. So, of course, at the moment, that's really been heightened because we're dealing with issues and crisis management, crisis management. We're also dealing with building that rapport with your target audience, but we're also having to analyse a lot about, is our brand fit for purpose? Is my hotel right now for the market, and is there a new market coming? So PR has evolved, and it has been for a long time, and there are people that will say, particularly in the association market, that will say actually PR is probably a dead word, and it's communication. And I love that, because I love that communication is come to the forefront.
And you must spend a lot of time with each client trying to get the culture and the spirit of the company that you're representing, and in order to be able to communicate that strategy, right? Exactly.
It's storytelling. We're trying to tell the target audience, and there are many target audiences now. No one, we've gone from very micro, segmentation to suddenly we don't care, just get somebody in, to then going back to segmentation, which is the right thing to do, and to tell that right story at the right time through the right channel to the right person. And it's costly time-wise, obviously financially, and you're never certain of that return on investment other than making sure that what you put together in the plan in the first place is really well thought through. So it's tough because hotels particularly are having to tell two stories. One, we're safe and it's okay to come, and quite clinical explanations and also rules and restrictions. And that's very difficult for a hotel right now. And then on the other side, we've also got to inspire and project, experience and rejuvenation and relaxation and luxury in some circumstances, and travel and memories and all those things. And to put those two sort of communication strategies together is actually very, very complicated. And so what we're challenged with at the moment is to project that safety at the same time as inspiring people and saying, look, come and stay. And it does mean really evaluating the product that your hotel restaurant may need to change. And some have brilliantly, and you will need to adapt, and your audience has changed. We're particularly those that are younger are more likely to book a hotel or a restaurant because they're more confident in terms of going out, maybe a bit more maverick. So you're having to adapt. That maybe that premium customer you had is still that person that's staying at home and not quite socializing in the same way. And of course that changes with government rules changing weekly. So that it's complicated, definitely, but it's so important to keep communicating.
Let me add an extra complication, if I may. I know in your field of work, a lot of the work is already on digital presence and digital environments. But society is rapidly changing, and how people have adapted and adopted digital technology is not surprising because we have no choice. So how has it been different in your work, especially when you were already using digital technology? What are the things that perhaps you find that are a little bit different than before?
I don't think they're as different. I think what we have to appreciate is that people are spending a lot more time on digital platforms. So because they're at home or they're not out and about, they're not socializing as much. And so we have to appreciate there's a volume of time being spent online, but equally people are therefore flicking a lot more and sort of just looking around and spending time browsing. We're also seeing a change and a shift in who is online. And whereas before we might have said, 70 plus is less time, but actually they're increasing because they have no alternative in terms of social interaction. They've got to be online and digital. So I'd say in that practice, it has changed because we're now talking to different audiences. I do think also because we're seeing less print, we're seeing a lot more digital communication platforms, a lot more community-driven content, that we have to adapt our messaging for that. The one thing, and I've said this to so many people in the last couple of weeks, is the importance of the website now, because people may not be reading about you in a magazine, or you may have withdrawn all your advertising budget, and we know marketing budgets have changed. So your website becomes everything. And if you're not properly investing in that website or being more searchable, discoverable, the right kind of content, the right kind of images, video, vitally important. We're much more drawn in by video. So I think with all of those additional pressures, I suppose, that's how it's changed.
And esoterically, in your own business, communicating with your staff, how has that made it different?
Internally, I think, to be honest, it doesn't feel any different. Maybe my team will say different. They'll probably say it's a nightmare. We were quite quick. We were very, very agile from day one, and we had a fairly good system in place anyway. Yeah. So we speak every day. We have contact meetings, client meetings, weekly updates.
So already, technically, a lot of your staff were working remotely anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay. Because we're out and about, what we miss is going and seeing our lovely clients and traveling up and down the country and seeing them in their hotels, and we miss that
Yes.
sorely, and we really do. And so, but I think between us, we have pods now. So I'm in a pod of 3, which we're in today. A different pod will be in tomorrow. What we have missed is being together as a group, which actually, I think it's next week, will be the first time we'll all be together outside, socially distanced, to do the walk for Hospitality Action, Walk for Calm. So we said, right, that's it. We're going out and in two groups of 6, and we'll see each other for the first time since February as a group.
Fantastic.
Yeah, which will be amazing.
Enjoy that.
Yeah.
So what do you think, having said all this, might be the biggest issue? Let's put COVID aside, but perhaps because of it, what are the biggest issues in hospitality today?
Oh, you can't really, I don't think you can put COVID aside. Do you know what? I think it's the changing role of the general manager for hotels. I think, my God, have they had to be stretched in terms of their skill set? And they're all passionate, capable. They love delivering hospitality. They've not been able to do that. And they're having to be everything, from IT infrastructure to change in HR and redundancies and getting your head around furlough and government legislation. The pressure and enormity of the situation for any manager of a restaurant or contract caterer, venue, hotel, it's that role is, I don't think you can underestimate it. And I think they still feel quite alone. And I think that's a real difficult challenge, is to go from being very operational over the last 6 months to going back to being that strong leader. And I think that's a big challenge, because that affects all of us and it impacts the team. I think generally speaking, I love how the staycation market is where it should always have been potentially. That we really do embrace this country and the plethora of beautiful places and attractions and history. I think that's a positive, but I think what we're struggling with now is knowing how far to plan and what if and scenario setting and who can do it. And I actually think there's some exhaustion within hospitality where we just feel like, can we stop for a bit, get our breath, and then go forward again? And I know I feel that way, and I think every business owner and leader feels that way and feels frustrated. So I think that is going to be the biggest challenge, is looking after our business owners and our GMs.
I mean, you made a very good point about GMs, because we tend to forget those leaders at the top, and it's quite lonely up there. And I think for anyone, if any GMs ever listen to this, apart from your local associations, I know that there's been a number of initiatives in the UK to try and create even more fora where you can actually talk and share the burden.
Yeah.
Saying share burden is a
problem. Shared is a problem halved. Yeah,
that's
it's true. Yeah, no, and I think again it comes down to talking. It's so important, because we're all running around firefighting, and I mean, Hilary Cook, as an example, has put together a great program to support leaders and people right across the industry, and that's been so well received, to just say, look, we really need to look out for each other, because what we've just been through and continue to go through is very harrowing, and it definitely takes its toll.
If only to validate that some decisions you had no choice. It was a hard decision to make, and you might feel guilty, but there was no choice. This is nobody was expecting what happened. But and
then they're not used to, I think, having to. Well, they are used to, because crisis and issues happen all the time. They don't all happen all at once. But I think we've got to make sure we're not knee-jerk reacting. We still have to have a strategy. That still needs to be 1, 3, 5 years. We still need to have a plan. That plan might get totally obliterated. It's still so important to have that plan and to continue to have that support. And you're right, there are great communities, master and holders, Institute of Hospitality, all getting together and talking. And it's reassuring, isn't it, when you talk to somebody and they go, actually, it's a nightmare. And you think,
let's get a bit more positive.
Let's get positive.
So let's think about, has there been anything positive? Because I think, but I want to hear from you. I think there has been a couple of things. But what do you think, if there was one positive or two, What are the positive things of the current situation?
I think for us as a business, I've definitely taken positive out of realizing how resilient we are, and I am. And sometimes you need that, don't you? I mean, would never have asked for this at all, but you need that challenge to say, do you know what you're actually capable of doing? And when you look at our team and what I've been doing, you think, oh my God, I can't believe actually how well we've worked together and supported each other. So that resilience at the end of every day, you think, imagine what I can do without a crisis happening, and it's really reinforced I'm doing the right job, and this is, for me, this is the right career. I think as an industry, I think it's broken down a lot of barriers, and everyone is talking, and everyone is being more human. And I'm not saying no one was before, but having real conversations with people about real issues. And I think that has to be positive. In a time of crisis, when you come together, you're so much stronger. That they are probably the only two positives.
No, thank you. I mean, that's a great point, that the fact that not only organizations such as different associations, but also individuals have come together. I mean, I couldn't be more proud by how the hospitality industry has been pulling together throughout this crisis in this country, and it's fantastic to see. And the reminder, as you said, as to what we can do together. Okay, so final question, and I'll let you go. What advice do you have for young people who are about to graduate with a hospitality degree?
Work experience. That is my top advice, because I would never have got the job I got at P&O had I not worked in a travel agency on a Saturday while doing my degree. That gave me that competitive edge. Came out with a really good degree, said and did all the right things in the interview, but when they focused on the fact I'd worked in a travel agency for 2 years, every Saturday and during the holidays, they said, yeah, well, this is great because you already understand the industry, you already know the practicality of it. So that is definitely work experience. I'm the same when I recruit. If you haven't done work experience through school and college, there's so much that you will miss out on in terms of skill set.
And most universities have placements, and you choose to take it. But even those who haven't taken a placement, they forget that their strength is on the digital aspect. So even while you're studying for your degree, you can volunteer. If you're saying, there are no jobs out there, you can volunteer to a company, help them out with their, help Petra with more communications, or the Petras of this world. Go out there and help them with their social media strategy. There are stuff you can do. You've got research skills. So that Petra can see that you actually did something before.
Yeah, absolutely, because it and also gives you an opportunity to decide what you enjoy doing. We always think, we just got to get a job, but that, those early years really do carve out the rest of your career. It really just set the tone. So being able to explore and try things and say, actually, I really like this. Or when we had somebody join us who'd never worked and had just come out of school, and she said, what's marketing? No idea. So come and have a go, see what you think. She was like, oh my God, I wish at school they'd told me what marketing was, because it's the best career ever. And so you've got to just try these things and work out what it is you like: front of house, back of house, management, operations, HR, marketing. I always try and convince people to make sure they go into marketing, but
brilliant.
Sadly they don't.
Petra, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Your words of wisdom. It's always a pleasure to see you. And as I said to my other guests, it's a shame we do get to see each other a few times a year, but this has been the first time this academic year, at least, and only digitally. But I hope that we will see each other in the future. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Look
Thank
after
you so
yourself.
much.
Thank you.
I will.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.